Hello, everyone. How are you doing? I'm here with Q, and I'm desperately trying to prepare a banner to tweet about this live at the same time as the intro music is finishing. How are you doing, Q?
Fine, and you?
Yeah, good. I'm excited about today because we're going to keep showing Bento Me, building bento.me in WeWeb, but I'm really excited about the part about where you're going to show conditional rendering, which I think is an awesome
Yeah.
new feature that we have in WeWeb that will greatly improve the performances of your web apps if used properly. So, yeah, I'm excited about that.
Yeah. So let me share my screen right now.
And who's in the chat with us today?
Okay.
Curious.
A bit and go back in the WeWeb app and Zoom also as well. So last time we were doing the logging page. Yeah, again, Bento. If you don't know what this is, you could check the previous lives. But basically, this is a Linktree like app to share links to social media, for example, like your accounts on social networks. And basically, we've been doing the login, which is working with Xano and also with Google OAuth. And we've been doing the navbar here. So last time it's here. And what we'll do today is begin to work on this. So mainly the left part of the page, and the right part will take us another live, because maybe you'll see here, you think it's a simple image, simple title, but that are actually inputs that are styled like normal text. But also you've got a bio here, so I will type a lot of things. And you see that when it's more than 225 characters, it's beginning to appear here. So the opacity is changing, and you're stuck at 280. And so we'll handle today the conditional display of this, and the following days we'll handle also the opacity and blocking this input too. So yeah, let's dive in. Let's dive into it. So we already have this content block that we will delete, and firstly add a column inside it. Why? Because here it's like two columns that are not like split evenly. This one seems to be bigger, so it's really easy to do with columns. But first thing that we'll do is that we'll take the main container of the columns and make it full width, so width 100%. Yep. And then I will remove the padding because I don't need it. Also on the children. And I will call the children, so the two flex boxes left and right. And I will already set the split, so it seems to be like this, so a bit bigger. And now we'll begin to fill the left one. So the first thing is an image. So let's drag and drop it inside the. Oh, okay, I just got logged out. Why not? Why not?
Well, you logged in another. You're probably logged
Nope.
in another page, no?
No, I was like, I'm just logged in here, but
Oh, okay.
why not? So here I've got my image. Let me upload my face. Hopefully I still have it from last time. Yeah, unnamed. .png, which is a good name for a PNG. So downloads, unnamed, upload. And so to make it round, it's really easy. You have to go in the corner radius and make it 100% so that it's a square, basically. And now we'll
I lost your
sorry.
audio. I don't know if I'm the only one.
Because I still see my sound in the Restream.
Yeah, I can see the volume in. Okay.
You want me to check?
Can you
I
confirm
can
in the chat that you can hear Q okay? Oh,
1 2 1 2.
probably an issue on my side.
Can you hear me?
I'll be back.
Hopefully you can still hear me. Ah, cool. Audio is good. Nice. Thanks, Jackson. So apparently it's good, according to the chat.
I still can't hear you, but chat confirmed your audio is fine. So
Yeah. So I will continue while Joyce is trying to.
it's okay.
Okay.
Thanks, Quentin,
Cool.
for confirming. And I logged out
Excellent.
just when the first person said okay. So thank you to the first person who said okay as well.
Nice.
Sorry to interrupt.
So the thing we're gonna check here is the size of this image. So I'll do this bottom so that it's taking the space like if it's on desktop. So here, and I don't know if you know, I think we talked about this last time, but when you're like using the developer tools to check how a website or web app is built, like you've got all the CSS styles, but basically the CSS styles, as their name says, because it's cascading style sheets, they are like cascading. So we can have a lot of rules that get overridden by others. So the main thing is to use the computed here tab, because this one will show you like the last state of an HTML element with the final CSS. So here you can see that the image is 184 by 184. So basically what we'll do is that we'll set a ratio of 1:1 so that it's square, and we'll set a width of 184. And that's it. Then I will add some text, and which is actually not a text, it's an input. So we'll actually add an input here. So if I go in input and controls, I will take the default one. I will remove the label, remove the hint, and basically to make a label disappear, it's really simple. You have to just remove the background color and the borders and the padding as well. So to do this, we'll remove the padding, 0, remove the borders, and the background color is here. So we'll make it transparent. So you see, it looks like a normal text. Now let's check what it's like when there's nothing in it. So the placeholder is your name. Actually, let's give a name to this input. So name input. And the placeholder is your name. Now we have to make it bigger, because I imagine it's, how big is it? Text, it's not here. Text 32 pixels. So let's make it 32. And I think the text is also bold. Yeah. So here, bold. And the placeholder color is a color that we used before. So let me check. I think it's this one, or maybe this one. Yeah, it seems to be this one. And now let's just try to type something in it. Yeah, it seems to be okay already, because it's taking the size of the placeholder by default. I mean, placeholder and the value have the same font size. So yeah, we don't have anything to change. Maybe just changing the margin on top because it seems to be bigger. So how much is it? So here it's on a div, but like on my design, I will just apply it on the input because I don't have like the exact same HTML as the app. It seems to be margin top 8. So if we go in compute it, you see that it's 32 pixels actually. So let's use this margin top. Up. No, 0, please. 0. And top is 32. Nice. Now I need to do the same with the text, but the text could be really long, as you see. So we need a text area to do this. So actually, what we'll do is that we will take one. So here you've got the long answer type that will drag and drop here. It's inside a div, and we don't care. So we'll just get the HTML text area, and the rest will delete. And let's call it description input. Let's make it 100% of width by default. Remove the padding, so 0. Remove the margin for now. We'll change this after. So I don't know why I'm keeping on doing this. Yeah, 0 is better. Remove the background color and the borders. So you see, it seems like, yeah, it's also like just normal text. Let's add just the margin top because it's not like, you see there is a small gap between the name and the description. So I can show you by removing, like if I remove everything here. So the margin, where is it? Margin top 3. So if you go and compute it, it's 12 pixels. So if I go here, margin top, 12 pixels. Again, I was thinking I'm going maybe a bit fast. So if something is not understood, don't hesitate to tell us in the chat and ask questions. We're here to help. And if you want us to redo something or explain something else, don't hesitate.
Yeah, for sure. I think we said that last week, but if like rebuilding the bento.me clone is kind of a pretext to hang out with you people. So,
Yeah,
but we're here to answer your questions first and foremost.
exactly. Which I think it's this one, maybe, or this one. Yeah, I mean, I won't be pixel perfect on the gray because that's not the main thing I want to show today. Let's just check the size of the text. So text Excel, I don't remember what this is. So let's get into font size, 20 pixels. Here, 20. Okay. And now when I'm typing, it's black, but here it's not. It's kind of grayish. Let me enter my name again. So this is kind of grayish. So if I select this text and I take the color, it's RGB 86, 86, 86. So I think we have it already in the design system. Or let me just change it here. So 86, no, not the placeholder, the text. Or RGB 86, 86, 86. Nice. Okay, last thing that we want to do is actually display the max number of characters so that we add it to our own app. Sorry, it's taking a bit of time just to enter silly stuff. Yeah. Okay, so I want to create this now. So this is a small text. So what I will do in WeWeb is add a text element here, and I will call it max number of characters alert.
It's a beautiful name.
That's yeah, a really descriptive name. Yeah. But at least if I go back to the project, I will know what this is.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
So let's take the. Let's write 280 and 280. So 280 and 280 characters.
And of course, we'll
And
make that dynamic later.
yeah, but I prefer to design
Yeah.
with like static stuff. Actually, if you people are like asking yourself how to do it, my go-to is to design with static elements before to make them dynamic. Otherwise, you'll have a hard time displaying them in a specific state to style them. Like what I mean is that you will need to change all the workflows, the variables, and everything to just display this.
Hmm.
So the best thing is just to have everything static and then make it dynamic, and you don't have to change the style if you go that way normally.
Cool.
So the text is 12 pixels and it's semi-bold. So 12 pixels, some bold, and the color is another gray, I imagine. So 191 RGB, so text color. Yeah, okay, it's this one. And the margin is 6 pixels. 16. Sorry, I'm getting a bit tired because it's already 6 p.m. in France.
Yeah, we're thinking we might move back the live streams to the previous time we had on Fridays because Thursdays at 6 p.m. for us is a bit we're lower energy than
Yeah. Okay. And now what I need to do is actually make it dynamic to display the number of characters, and also to display, because you see in Bento, I will remove some, yeah. So you see it's not displaying at all, and it begins to display when I'm at 25 characters. So it's really hard to see because like the opacity is changing too, but at 225 I've got something. And when I'm adding characters, you see it's changing. The first thing we can do actually is make it dynamic. And then after we can display it conditionally. So to do this, actually we've got like the description input, like there's a value that stores the text. But what's cool is that because it stores a text, we can use it in bindings to get, for example, in this case, the total number of characters. So to do this, it's really easy. You go to text en, you bind, and you can concatenate your text. So if I go to text, concatenate, the first thing I will add, let me just remove this, is so the length of the text in the description input. So to do this, I will use the text length formula, and I will pass it the description input. So you see that it's 7. So it's working already. And then for the rest of the text, I will enter for 280 characters. So you see that already I have my logic. So if I'm typing, it's changing the number of characters that are displayed, like the length here, getting updated in real time.
very nice.
And the other thing I can do, basically also I will change this to be bigger because it's not taking like the full height I want. So I will add more rows. Yeah, like this. Okay. And now we want this to display only when the number of characters in the description is above or equal to 225. So to do this, there's two ways. The old way that was working in WeWeb before is just to bind the display property. The display property is basically a display none in CSS. So what this means is that this element is actually in the page, but it's not displayed in your the user browser. So what this means is that the computer is still computing the element. So when you're not displaying it that way and you're changing the text, for example, you're typing, you still have a div in your browser that will get updated. So that can cost some computing power. Here it's almost nothing because it's really easy, but if you have a complex application with many things inside it, it can take some time. I can show you this. I can show you this basically if I go in the inspector and I take this p, like this p tag, with the, I don't know if you see, but here it's returned 267 over 280 characters. And if I use the display none, which is here, so it's not displayed anymore, but still here, like in my code. And when I go in preview and I type, it still gets updated. So you're still using a bit of the power of your browser, of the user browser, so memory, processing power and stuff, to update this value. So that's kind of a waste of processing power. So a good way to do this would be to use the new conditional display option that we have in WeWeb.
It's in the settings.
In the settings, yeah. So if I go here in the
Sorry.
settings, on every element, you've got the conditional display that you can toggle. And basically what this does is that it tells the browser to not create the element at all using JavaScript. So it means that it won't be in the page at all. So everything you're computing about this element won't get computed anymore. So it's really like it's more powerful to make your app faster. The only exception is when you have like really simple pop-ups, for example, that are static, because if you just want to display them yes or no and everything inside is static, it's easier for the browser to generate them when the page is rendered and then just tell using CSS display it or none. But if they are dynamic, it's better like to create them on the fly using the conditional display, because when you use the conditional display on off, you're still using a bit of computing power, but less than before, just to tell the browser actually now, like just when I'm clicking on, you have to create a p tag with this content inside. So the browser still has to do some work, but it's less expensive that doing the same work again and again on a display none element. I don't know if that makes sense.
Jack is saying this is great because
Cool.
Jack has
So hopefully
already
Jack
has
understood.
has worked with more complex
Yeah.
applications. And just to warn you, it's currently called conditional display. We are going to rename it conditional rendering inside the
Yeah.
product because that's the proper traditional coding terminology. So initially we chose conditional display to make it kind of easier for no coders,
Yeah.
but we changed our minds and because I think
Yeah.
no coders who use WeWeb are like to learn the proper terminology, so we'll change
Yeah,
it to
exactly.
conditional rendering.
And to be honest, the CSS display is actually displaying, because in the end, it's like you're telling the browser
Yeah,
display it yes or no, but it's existing. When you're rendering it here, you're telling the browser create this element and display it. And if you're like turning it off, you're like telling the browser to destroy this element. So this element will disappear from the document object model. Like the HTML element will just be deleted. And obviously, because you see this, it's bindable. So what we'll do is that we'll bind it to the text length of the description, which is always true because it's a number. It's 279 right now. But what we'll tell the browser is to display it only when it's above 24. I'm using 224 because it's a specific. Sorry, I don't know what's the proper English word for this, but like it's above 224, so it will begin at 225. It's not like superior equals to. It's a classic superior to. So you have to remove one. But you see here, it's true now because that's a boolean that will evaluate to true or false. Like, is the text length of the description input above 224? Right now it's true, so it will display. And if I remove some text, see, 225, it's displaying. I remove one, it's not displaying anymore because now, if I go into my formula, it's false. And that's all we do. Conditional rendering. Thanks for mentioning it, Joyce. Inside WeWeb, which I would advise for like most use cases, to be honest. The only exception, but it's really like if you want to optimize your app really well, is if this text would be static, like for example, you've hit max number of characters, then you can just use the display instead of the rendering. But I mean, 99% of the time, it's better to use the rendering.
Yeah, it's just one small thing, but I think that will come to users pretty intuitively is that if you're using input variables, for example, the input variable is not created until it's
Yeah,
rendered.
yeah,
So you might
exactly.
have
Yeah.
use cases where you're trying to work with variables that haven't been created yet. But there are more edge cases.
Yeah,
I
it's
I
like
think
in sliders, or I don't know, like a model, we call them. Because like you know, if you've been used to if you used models before in WeWeb, it's basically a conditional rendering when you're setting the option to display them or not. But because it's a conditional
I
rendering,
didn't know that.
it's exactly the same logic. But because before they are rendered, they do not exist at all in your app. So WeWeb is not able to create variables if you have, for example, form inputs inside them, because these inputs, they are not created yet. So for WeWeb, they don't exist yet. So you have to display them using conditional rendering, yes, so that you can get like the variables for the inputs created, so you can play with them. Whereas if you were using display none, they would still exist because they would still be in the page even if you don't see them. So you would be able to use the variables. So yeah, that's the little difference you have to know between both.
And just maybe one additional comment because we've had the question. It doesn't mean that it's secure. I mean,
Yeah,
the data is still accessible in the user's browser. It's just it's you need to be more technical than if you were using like the
yeah,
CSS display none. Everybody can see it fairly easily. The conditional rendering, you need to be more technical, but you can still access that data. So it doesn't, that security really happens in the back end.
yeah,
So you have to
exactly.
continue protecting your back end.
Because some people were asking if I use this for like user data, or like if like to display data that's supposed to be displayed for user data admins. I mean, if the data was fetched using collections before, it's already in your browser, like in the user navigator, because everything that's in WeWeb, because it's a front-end app, is in the user browser. So basically anybody can use it, like can see it. So the best way to do this is to use security rules when you're like fetching an API or a database, so your backend, so that it gives you back only the data you need. And then you make also the life of the like of the hackers a bit harder if you use also conditional rendering, because then they will have to check the API calls. But I mean, most of the people, they just check the API calls. So be sure to just get the data you need, and do not think that conditional rendering is enough to hide data.
I really love this new feature, though. I can't wait to. I think for multi-step forms, it'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah. Last thing we want to do is actually store this data inside our backend. So our backend was Xano. Back into it. Login. Obviously, it's a bit slow because we are doing a demo. Because why not? I've been doing this like, I don't know how many times today. It was like 10 times faster.
Someone
yeah.
put a curse on us for the live streams.
So what we'll do is that we'll actually store the description and the name inside the user table, so that when the user gets back to his or her app, the data will be displayed already. And when he or she is typing something, it will get updated right away. So to do this, we'll add 2 new columns. So name.
Interrupting quickly because Quentin is saying, would love to see multi-step forms. Been playing around with it the past few days. Yeah, it's something. Do you have an example of a clone you'd like us to build, or just anything would be fun? At some point, we could go back to Rally and Fit, because that was kind of a multi-step form, but we didn't have conditional rendering yet, so we didn't build it that way.
Yeah, we would do it that way now.
Yeah,
for sure. So first, I added a username and a description column in my user table. The thing I have to do right now is go in the API and make it available in the off me. If it's not the case already. So let me check by running and debugging. So if I take off token, mine. So you see, I only have the email, but WeWeb needs to see these variables. So to do this, I will. Oh, that's weird. I'm not used of the to the new design yet, but yeah, here I will add not the password, obviously, but the username and the description. So now if I run and debug, you see I have username and description. So now
I'm pretty sure it's not going to work. You forgot to
yeah,
publish the change in Xano.
It's
a new feature they have, which is really cool, but you have to get used to it.
Actually, that's really nice that they've done this. So now that I will just reload my app so that WeWeb fetches the user again with hopefully the name and the description. So I have to log in, obviously. If I go here, you see my username and description, they are empty. So actually, there's a small trick that we'll need to do, because if I were to have like a username already, I would bind it to the init value so that it get displayed yet. So what I will need to have is actually, you know what? I'm thinking I don't even need what I was thinking about, because I was thinking of creating an intermediate variable that will store the value of the input and that get bound also as the init value. But I will try just by using the what's inside the user. So you know what? Let's just try. I love it because I'm having ideas during the live. That happens all the time. Okay, so it's empty. And if I were to put something in my user in Xano, so Quentin, yep. And if I were to refresh, okay, why is it not working then?
Oh, it is.
Oh, no, it's working. Okay, cool. And the description, I will do the same with the user description. And the cool thing is that when it's empty, it's actually letting the placeholder. I was not sure about this, but I don't even need the formula to check if it's empty. So that's cool. That's perfect. And now what we can do is just add workflows when the inputs are changing, because that's what's happening in Bento. It gets saved when we type. So if I were to reload, see, still here. So you don't have like a button or a form submit. It's only like using on changes. Yeah, autosave, which is quite dangerous most of the time. But here it's like not sensitive data, but you shouldn't use it all the time, because keep in mind that if you're changing just one thing, like it's saved already, so it's gone. So basically for password or things, API keys in forms.
I guess we could use debounce to slow it down a little bit.
Yeah, it will slow down, but still it will get saved.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. But yeah, we could use debounce. So debounce is here.
Would you use a debounce or would you use a delay in the workflow? No, I guess a debounce.
I would use debounce. And you're right about this. I would always use debounce, because otherwise, if the user is typing really fast, your backend would get spammed and get so many requests that sometimes you can have like collisions between. You can even have like requests that are received before, like they are sent before, but they are received after another one. So you don't get like the last value, because it's not a problem of tools like Xano and WeWeb here. It's just that you're on the internet, and the internet sometimes is slow or fast because it's sending packets, and you don't have control over this. I mean, over the infrastructure. So if sometimes you're sending too many requests, and some of them they finish faster than the other, but they were sent after. Sorry, like the last value would get saved, and maybe the last value that is received by the backend is not the last value that was typed by the user. So it's always better to use a debounce. Half a second is more than enough. And what it will do is that it will wait every half second to send the current value of the input. And so to do this, we'll add a workflow on change. We'll do request to Xano. So it's, you know what? I think I will need to.
You don't have you have the Xano auth, but you don't have the data source.
Yeah. I was like, maybe I will do this with REST API, but you're right. Yeah. I will use the Xano classic plugin, and I will just copy paste the API key. Sorry.
If anyone wants to work on a browser extension that automatically hides API keys during live streams, please feel free.
Maybe using AI.
Maybe using AI.
Okay. So, add a collection. I don't need to add a collection normally. So if I add a workflow on change, then I do a request to Xano, I will go inside Bento. The endpoint is the user, so I will post a request to the user. The user posting this is my current user, so the ID is this one. And then the body fields, I will only update the username here. And I will pass it the value inside the input. And if I test, I got a 400. Why? Headers, data, missing param email.
It's probably required.
Yeah. So what I will do is that I will select all and just use the current user values. It's not really the best way to do this, but we'll be able to refactor later. But I will need to go into Xano and tell it to not use all the values. But what we can do in the meantime is just use the current values. So no, this one actually from the user. And Google OAuth, I don't need it. Okay, and if I test, it's working. Nice. So I will do the same with the description. On change, requests, bento, post user ID. User ID is the user.id. And I need only these three. So email is this. Username is username. And description is the one from my input. So now if I enter a description, this is my description. Should be saved in Xano. Okay, this works.
Yay.
Nice. So if I refresh, so it's taking a bit of time just to fetch the values, but you see, I got my values and everything is dynamic. So if I were to say content durant T, and if I change the backend also, it will work. If I put back my name and I refresh, this works. And by the way, it's taking longer when you're in the editor to display, but on the live app, it should be like almost instant because we are like creating the app in real time in the editor. But when it's published, you've got lots less code inside the app, so it's faster to fetch. And yeah, that works.
Looks nice.
So the thing we'll have to do next time is adding the upper limit for the 280 characters. But actually, I have my message. Yeah, it's really long. Yeah, I have it. Nice. And it's saved. So I can reload data. And it's saved in the database. Yeah, it's here.
Beautiful.
Nice. So yeah.
Right, very cool. It's looking nice. I think it's the first time, when we work on a project that very often I have no idea if we're still in Bento in the editor. I check around the page because it looks perfect.
I still have to do the image also, but yeah, next time.
What do you mean?
Like because this image is static right now.
Oh yeah.
Or I could try to. Yeah. I mean, what will be a bit complex is
the
like
upload.
displaying
We should
this
do it well
on the image. So I think we'll use two divs that overlap on top of each other, and when you're hovering, we are changing also the conditional rendering.
I think it would be cool if we showed how to upload the image to Xano, because often people struggle a little bit with that. So it could be cool too.
Next time, or you mean right now?
No, next. No, I think
okay.
Next time needed.
Cool.
All right, cool.
Because I think we won't have the time to do something else. And my dog is
done already.
Quite excited.
She wants to go out for a walk, huh?
She's on my bed getting crazy. You can't see her, but it's really funny.
Does she just like roll on her back? My dog does that when she wants to go on a walk.
No, like she's just next to me, and she's like, "Are you coming?"
Right. Well, thank you, Chad. It was Thank you for joining. If you have any quick questions, we can take them. Otherwise, we'll of course you can post them in the community.weweb.io, or we can chat about it next week. But if you have quick questions now, we can. Now's the time.
Yep.
And we'll give a few seconds for the delay of the chat, but otherwise we'll run. Yay. Hey, Sayana. All right, chat is saying all good. And it seems like the chat is pretty quiet, so we'll leave it at that for now and see you all next week. Next week it will be we might do kind of a more of a fun live because the entire team will be together in a house in France. So we might not be able to do a live building session, but we'll connect and say hi at the very least. Yeah. Talk to you soon. Thanks again, Q. It was wonderful.
Bye. Nice, thanks.